Hello, everyone. My name is Sokiphan Salikov, supply chain enthusiast, supply chain expert, and MBA candidate, again in supply chain management. And today we are going to talk about Schneider Electric. And we have a great guest, Paul Macharia, who's working at the Schneider Electric for a long period of time. Hi, Paul.
Hey, how's it going?
And great, great. Thank you. Thank you for joining. And my first question, Paul, as a starting point, could you please provide more insights about your background, experience, and current role within the Schneider Electric?
I've been 2 years within Schneider Electric, where I joined within the global supply chain. I've worked with logistics engineering, where I manage projects within a distribution center and drive efficiency. And then I've also moved to a buying role where I was planning, and this was within a plant production, and I was sourcing the resources that they need to drive customer success. Now I've started my third rotation actually here as a transportation analyst. Within that, I'm analyzing data, compiling trends, and driving productivity for the most part.
Great, great, Paul. So you said you are kind of working now within the development program in Schneider. So what are your thoughts about Schneider development program and within the supply chain management? Would you recommend it to others?
Yes, I mean, it varies and depends on the person. I would say whether you're a great fit. I would say there are a ton of SE development programs themselves, and they range from anywhere within various departments within a company. So in this, I enjoy the global supply chain program specifically because it's exposure that I've been introduced to just both business leaders and then also the organization structure itself in these roles previously that I've mentioned. um, each of them has introduced me to a different business unit and then also introduced me to just a rainbow of ways of thought in leadership and yeah, managing people. So I
Got
would
it.
say I recommend it.
Got it. And does your supply chain background matters when you're applying to this type of program? Like, do you need to have something like at least exposure to supply chain management before or not? Within the
I
recruitment
wouldn't
process,
say
I mean.
so. I mean, I would say definitely it is a good driving factor to have at least background knowledge and know what you're getting into, but not necessarily. I previously did have some supply chain background knowledge, but I did not come from a trade or study more so in supply chain. I studied literature and language, so it's all transferable, and I would say what you can use to transfer into supply chain itself. So.
Got it. Great, great. So we know that Schneider Electric in the world is the best company according to the Gartner. It's not my personal opinion, but Gartner's kind of ranking. And can
Yeah.
you please provide more overview about the supply chain management within the company, how it works, why it's the best one in the world?
Yeah. As you mentioned, SC is very specialized in supply chain. They provide end-to-end supply chain where sustainability is the core of its operations and its strategy. So when we're talking about innovation and digitalization, that's what supply chain in Schneider looks like. In general, we are focused on our smart factories and our digital transformation within those factories. So they've been recognized by the World Economic Forum, for example, in leading the way from smart manufacturing. And Schneider plans to actually have the 70 net zero carbon plants and distribution centers themselves by 2025. So within these goals, and progressively continue to further the energy efficiency and all of its 300 manufacturing plants, I would say, and warehouse facilities. So within all this, this is, I would say, the heart of supply chain within Schneider Electric sustainability. So yeah.
Got it. Got it. And do we have any specific kind of operations technologies when it comes to sustainability? I mean, not specifically in the United States. Maybe it can be in French kind of based plant or in China. What's your thoughts about this?
Yeah, so when we're talking about sustainability, we're definitely talking, or when we're talking about supply chain within Schneider Electric, we're definitely talking about it as a whole within the global network. In general, yes, we do have specific technologies that we use, and they're both internal systems and external systems. In this case, we also have offers that we do partner with other companies and offers that other businesses can acquire to continue on their processes and drive efficiency. These include EcoStructure. That's one of our main offers right now that we are kind of a buzzword, I would say. So
Yeah,
EcoStructure Automation Expert, this is one of the technologies that allows machineries and just systems to communicate with each other and all talk in the same language. And I would say also Schneider employs these technologies to kind of further their supply chain themselves.
got it, got it. And by the way, when it comes to operational management of the Schneider Electric supply chain, um, recently you've changed your CEO.
Mhm.
Do you have any kind of shifts within the supply chain management, or is it the same strategy that was put before in the last kind of previous CEO?
So I mean, definitely the focus is still set to net carbon zero, and we have ambitious goals within um, our internal network of our sustainability goals, and then also within our global network of
Yeah,
sustainability goals as a whole. And I would say that's definitely continued on. We've definitely employed different strategies into attaining this goal, but I would say the focus has still been be achieving these net carbon zero goals that we have. You can also look up some of the sustainability goals that we have because that's one of
yep,
the things that I would say we focus on. So yeah.
got it. Great, great. I know, according to your background, and you also mentioned about this, you have a supply chain exposure. So you worked at Amazon as an area manager, very supply chain role, plus you worked as a logistic engineer at Schneider Electric in Texas, based at DC. If you compare both of those operations, when it comes to fulfillment, do you see any differences, or can you expand on this as well?
Yeah, I would say both my previous experience and my current experience has equipped me in supply chain. It's kind of like I would say my previous experience was more of a supply chain boot camp. So that's what I was referring to. Yes, I had some supply chain knowledge, but not necessarily extensive in the study of it. I understood the possibilities of supply chain through my previous experience, I would say, within Amazon in an area management position.
Yep.
And this was the possibilities within efficiency and productivity. So I would say that's the core of Amazon's operation. At least my fulfillment experience trained me in that. So then I also got trained in communicating that impact into a bigger network, and that's what I was able to transfer within my previous experience to now Schneider. Within Schneider, I would say the operation is more based on the sustainability piece, where they're passionate about making sure they're building a carbon net neutral environment. So whether it's in their packaging or whether it's in their actual operations itself with digitalization. And I would say they all accomplish this to kind of preserve our biodiversity itself. So yeah, that's kind of I would say the differing pieces between the two operations.
Got it. Got it. And what do you think about automation process? Amazon is really famous, popular with automation, with robotics. They have even division, Amazon Robotics. What do you think about Schneider? How it's going when it comes to automation and robotics?
Automation and robotics, I don't have much experience within that. I do have some experiences within the smart DCs and the smart plants themselves. We have seen a lot of digitalization within systems. I would say that's at least the majority of the experience that I've faced. I would say within robotics, like, yes, we've all seen the Amazon big arms and everything. So I
Yeah,
would say within Schneider, I've gotten more of the experience with how these systems communicate and showing that phase of the things. I would say kind of like piggybacking off to what I was saying earlier about the possibilities of supply chain. Seeing that within Amazon's operations, that was amazing to see, honestly. But within also focusing on Schneider's values and goals and their business model, it's very kind of different, I would say, in that digitalization aspect. So both are unique, but in general, I would, more fast-paced in a way within Amazon, and then within Schneider Electric, it's more, strategic in how their processes are done to focus on the sustainability piece. But yeah,
got it. Sure, sure. Again, I would turn back to the comparison of Amazon and Schneider Electric, but not operationally from a
okay.
perspective of culture. Culture matters
Hmm.
in whatever you are doing. And I also worked at Schneider. I've seen that Schneider was really famous and popular about work-life balance. There are good comments in Glassdoor, for example, if you can check this. And I have seen it myself, individual working there as an intern. But you have more exposure at Schneider. You are working there more than 2 years. How do you think about the cultural differences, especially when it comes to work-life balance in two companies?
Yeah. I would mention that I have met some of the greatest people within Schneider. Honestly, SC makes great people. That's one of the slogans that you would hear within Schneider.
Yeah.
So, in general, I met you, Sakib, through Schneider itself. So, in general, SC makes great people in the sense of you have a global mindset within Schneider. And this is outside of supply chain also, and just it as a business as a whole. It definitely very much focuses on the global aspect. So, not necessarily only confined to your only region. So, I'm focused on NAM, North America, and Mexico, and Canada to specifically. Those are the countries. But in general, I do have the exposure to just talk to someone in Spain, for example, randomly. I would say work-life balance is a huge thing, and just talent development is a huge thing. Where we face things like talent development, you have things like tools like Open Talent Market, where you're able to refine some skills that you want to get, or get exposure to other industries or other business units that you want to get involved in. I've taken advantage of that personally within marketing. But in general, also the exposure just to see other people and gain that exposure to other regions. I would say that's what makes Schneider a great place to workplace. Work-life balance, yes, we kind of have the benefits, I would say, and we have competitive benefits within other companies. So like, you know, it's 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 there. I like it so far.
Got it. Great, great, sweet. Uh, Okay, so I remember you also worked as one of your part of rotational program. You worked as a buyer, and as we know, when it comes to buying, procurement, sourcing, however you call this, the important thing nowadays is not only cost minimization or risk management in buying process, but also brand reputation. And according to your background and experience, how do you think Schneider tries to ensure ethical and responsible sourcing practices working with suppliers?
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, keeping in mind the end-to-end supply chain itself, to name a few, I would say Schneider has focused and its actions and impact has been made from the 2022 numbers. I have some of them written down over here, but there's been like 7% increase to 7% to 18% in the green material content that is in our products, for example. So this is one of the things that is measuring our quality of our products itself, and they have goals to continue on to about 50%. In general, we have also 45% of our primary and secondary packaging free from single-use plastic, and within this, we're using recycled cardboard. So those are kind of some of the initiatives that we've used within our operations. Within sourcing also, we've seen that we want a 10% reduction within our CO2 emissions from our top 1,000 suppliers themselves. And this was a goal that they actually reached in 2022. We're still waiting for the 2023 numbers. But in general, yes, I would say sustainability is also being driven within our suppliers and our vendors themselves. Um, so yeah, as a buyer within process automation, that's one thing that we definitely continued on. And within the North America region, I planned projects within that, and then also I was part of that um, part of that process itself.
Great, great. Especially, I would follow up to this question. When it comes to buying practices, we have seen supply chain disruptions after COVID period, during a COVID period as well, and now buying process became more robust. It's different than it was 2 years ago. What changes at Schneider when it comes to risk management specifically?
Within risk management, I would say I was not a buyer then. I was in the engineering space, but in general, seeing the change that has come, it's a lot of more systems that are strong and empowered enough to handle this change that is constantly happening. So when we talk about risk management, we're talking about long lead times. We're talking about um, shelf life, for example, for material. We're talking about sourcing this material, for example. So in this, we also want to build planning processes and planning strategies that actually support this challenges that we're facing within buying. Within risk management itself, I would say localization has been a huge part in terms of making sure that we're partnering with other companies, and then also in general, we're also having a localization teams that are able to drive the changes and mitigate that risk within just our
Great,
networks.
great. It answered my question. So you are also kind of seeing the friendshoring and onshoring process within the Schneider Electric supply chain management, isn't it?
Correct.
Got it. Clear. I would give a turn to the last question, specifically for the people who are really interested about supply chain management. And it's kind of first part of the kind of question. And second part, who wants to work at the Schneider Electric? What is your recommendation for them?
I'd say for people who want to work within Schneider Electric, definitely looking up our values. That's the one thing I would say. Look them up. It's a good, quick Google search. I would say we are an impact company, so communicating impact is a huge thing in general within whatever role you're taking within Schneider. And then also in general within supply chain, which is where I'm also well versed. I do have some experience within global marketing, but in general, I would say I've also been able to transfer those skills within supply chain. But within supply chain, staying up with the trends, we're constantly changing within this industry, and it's constant. So, for example, right now, as in my transportation role, right now the Suez Canal is one of the examples
Yeah,
that it's a hot topic. So, kind of keeping up to trend with what's happening with that, and being able to communicate and um, having awareness of how it affects you as an employee of the company, and then also in general how it affects you as a consumer. So I would say this is one of the key things of kind of getting your way within Schneider. Within, I would say, our mindset and perspective, I've seen a trend in people who are global mindseted, or people who are focused on, yes, they want to see the world, they want to see a better world, and they want to see a more sustainable world. So in general, having that focus also within your interviews, within just how you communicate Schneider Electric is an important factor. So that's my recommendation. Again, I didn't come from a background within supply chain to also enter within supply chain. So I would say that was a huge transferable skill, or a huge thing to be able to transfer and communicate also.
great insights, especially for people who want to transfer, for example, from marketing to supply chain management. It can work as a benchmark. Thank you. With this, we can wrap up our conversation today. It was really interesting. And thank you, Paul. Thank you very much for your valuable contribution to this program. And best of luck in your future endeavors with SE. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your interview.